Yeah, so this is full text indexing in the browser, which sounds like a horrible idea, but isn't that bad an idea? It's a pretty bad idea. I'm not actually going to talk about full text indexing at all. It's a talk really about web workers. Alright, so why am I doing this? Is this going to work? Yes. Cool. Why? I make an app for beer festivals, just as like a side fun project thing. It's a web app. It sits in the browser. You load it on your phone. You go to a website, and you get all of the beers that are at the festival, and it's integrated with things and stuff. And there's this. It was originally made specifically for Mikkeller Beer Celebration in Copenhagen, which has like 100 brewers, and they all bring 8 beers. So it's around 800 different beers. They all have different styles. They all have different descriptions. They all have different properties that you want to search and find out things about. Right, yes. There's a presentation, yes. And then on top of that, there's a whole lot of people traveling from all around the world to Copenhagen. And I originally wrote this back in the time when we didn't have the EU roaming law. So when we were going to Copenhagen, we didn't have mobile internet. So it was very nice to have all of that information available offline. And we could do that with AppCache and now service workers. We could make it so you go to the web browser, you go to it while you're online, you get all the data, and then you can just visit the web address again when you're offline, and then it will load and everything is there for you to use. Yeah, but a problem that had is that the searching was pretty crappy, because you got 800 beers, you got all these descriptions. You could do a thing which goes through and did like a regex or a fuzzy search or something like that, but it wasn't very good. So I wanted to find some way of doing of working out a good solution for that. So the first thing I tried was just making a full text index and searching in it. So let's see. So we got how do I get my? You know what? I'm gonna mirror out this bit. Cool. So we got this is the app. Here we go. Let me just load the old version. That didn't work.
It was slow.
Mm.
That's not proper yellow. No, none of those colors are right.
It looks right here. Why is that taking so long? Should be working. Is my internet working? Firefox. I bet it's Firefox's fault. Anyway, okay, I'm just going to assume that that's loaded now. So now it's indexing. I just clicked the button and now it's just, yep. So there was like a 15-second freeze or 10-second freeze there where the browser did nothing. These are a whole bunch of beers. There's a search button. Oh, goodness me. Firefox. Okay, I'm going to have to load this in Chrome. Yes, you can even see it's got this little warning here. Your web page is slowing down your browser. Oh, there's the Snap SVG cat. So, yes, it's causing some performance issues, as you can see.
Slow.
Yeah, it's a little bit slow. Let's load some beers. It's a little bit slow. The searching isn't too bad because obviously full text indexing. The majority of the work is done up front, and then the searching is not too bad.
I bet you can filter by drunk and not drunk.
Of course, you got to know what. Yeah. Mm.
Alcohol free.
Yeah, so once the indexing is done, it's not so much a problem. It's just that upfront thing of you load the page and it freezes for a whole bunch of time while it's creating the index, and then you have this 50 megabyte index in memory, which is just sitting there being annoying. And you can imagine that is much worse on a mobile device than it is on my laptop. Yeah, so let's get back to this.
Remove the snow.
Thank you. That's the rest of my presentation. Yeah. Alright, so now I don't have my speaker view, so I don't know what's coming next. Let's see. Yes, so our solution is web workers. Yay! Web workers are a way of sort of doing threading in the browser. So we've got it's like a simple script that runs on a different thread to the render thread for the web page. It can do I/O through XHR or fetch. It communicates with the render thread by using by sending and receiving messages, and it has a separate global context, so it has different ownership to variables. That the only way it can communicate or share data with the render thread is by sending and receiving messages. It has access to things like IndexedDB and WebSockets because those have obvious uses for doing data processing and stuff like that in another thread. And nope. Yeah, okay. Something I didn't write there is that it has also the ability to do stuff like transferable objects. Like if you have a big data stream with a buffered array or something like that, you obviously don't want to be copying that and sending it over a message. You can transfer ownership to the render thread. So, like, I think a lot of the WebRTC stuff that a lot of you probably use, like appear.in and things like that, they do image processing in the web worker, and then they'll transfer ownership of the buffered array to the render thread, so that the heavy lifting is done on another thread to the render thread. So let's see what it looks like with a web worker. That loaded a bit quicker, didn't it? See that again. Boom. Loads immediately, and it's currently indexing in the background. And then go to the beer list, and you can see that it's indexing, and we can look at things while it's indexing. And yep, the index is ready, and now we can use the index to search. And so what that's doing is the index is sitting in the web worker, and every time I do a search, the render thread sends off a message to the web worker. It says, could you search in the index for this thing for me? And the web worker says, sure, and then sends back a result to the render thread. And the render thread uses that data to render some beers. But the entire time it's indexing, it is not blocking the render thread, so you can still use the app as normal while it's doing the full text indexing. So yeah, next I'm just gonna do a quick run through of what the code looks like for this. Not really live coding, but yeah, we'll see. Okay. Alright. Is that big enough? No, of course not. Alright, so this is our render thread here. So we've got our app.js. And here we spawn a new web worker. We just specify the file that contains the script that is going to be running code for our web worker. And this is just a declaration of some beer data that we're going to be sending to the search worker. Well, that's what I've named it, the search worker, to index. Alright, so now let's see what happens in the web worker. So here I've got like just an empty script for the web worker, and I'm just because it's asynchronous, it actually has to go to the internet and download searchworker.js and then run it and stuff. It's not a synchronous operation. So this just sends a message back to the render thread saying that, hi, I'm here and I'm ready to run some code. Okay, so on our render thread, we need to receive that message, and we need to, and it's just, this post message function is just it's in the global scope in a web worker. And yeah, I'm just sending an object to it. This is not a standard thing, it's just it's a free form thing, so it's just the format that I've chosen to go with, where we've got a message type property, and it's saying I'm ready. So back to the render thread. So we've added this bunch of stuff here. So this is the we've got our search worker, and we're adding an on message event handler. We get our message here. That message has a data property that is standard. That's the arguments that you passed into the post message on the web worker. And I've got a payload here, and then from that payload I'm getting the message type. Then I'm just doing a switch on the message type and doing something based on that. So this is receiving the ready message, and it's saying, alright, search worker, could you please index this beer data for me? Alright, so let's go back to the web worker and do something with that message. So on message in this case is in the global scope, so we just set on message to a function, and that's our handler. We get our message. Exactly the same thing here, taking out the message types that we decided to send in. Again, that's not standard, that's just the way I've chosen to do it. And then we're doing switching on it, and we're going to do some indexing here, just the same way that we did in the render thread. Here's our indexing. I'm just using a full text indexing library from NPM. So I'm taking the beer data and passing it to this initialize index function, and this is going to run through all of the beers and index them. That just this here just goes through all of the properties of each beer object and adds them to the index, referring to the beer. And then once that's done, this is where the heavy lifting really happens. That's that thing that was taking, that loop was taking like 15 seconds to index stuff before, and now it's being run on this thread in the background. Then when it's done, we send a message back to the render thread saying the index is ready. Right, so now we're back on the render thread. So we've got our message type here. Oh yeah, this is the stuff we've seen before, but now we can intercept the indexed event, and we say we've got this little flag here that says is search worker ready, false, is worker ready, search worker ready, true. In my actual app, I had a bunch more stuff that that deferred searches until the thing was ready, or something like that. I don't remember, but yes, you can just this stuff. The way you decide to do the loading is up to you. Right, so I guess we're ready to implement some searching, I think. Let's see what's next. Yeah, right, so, this is going to be a bit of a... I wanted a search function that was async await, but that doesn't line up so well with this back and forth, so I'm just, this might be a little bit of a mindfuck if you haven't been in JavaScript for a while. But I'm just I have a map of searches here. I've got a search ID that's just the date, the epoch. I'm setting the I've got a promise here, and I'm setting the resolve function into that searches thing. Then I'm sending off a message to just ignore all the technical details of that. Sending off the search query to the search worker with the search ID, which is going to send back for us, and the query. Then we go into our worker. We're intercepting the search message here. Now we can do a search. So our full text indexing search indexing library makes that easy for us. It just gives us a search message. We pass in the query. Well, we're taking that stuff that we sent in from the payload, and we're passing it in there. Searches, sends back a result. That's what we get on the client, and then we accept it back here. So we've got our search result message, we've got our search callback, which was in our searches object. Call the search callback with the results, and then we remove the callback. And essentially that makes it so that you can consume the search function asynchronously like this. Woo! Don't know what happened there. And that will asynchronously go off to the web worker, do a query, and get a result, and then bring it back and send it to results. And that's how it works. Yeah.
Sweet.
That's what I had. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes.
I'm sorry for this.
Yes. So is there? I mean, that's a pretty obvious desire to have the async await.
Yeah, it's ugly here, but it's very, very nice when you're consuming it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you look for any kind of library implementation? Of
when I first implemented this, I wanted to do it without a library. I often try and do things like that without a library first, so that I can learn how they work, and then I'm okay with using library.
Yeah.
There are a lot of libraries abstracting this stuff for you. Yeah.
Yes, and a new one every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's ones that, and for every kind of idiomatic JavaScript asynchronicity you can think of. Like there's ones for streaming, there's ones for callbacks,
Yeah.
there's ones for async await. Of course,
Yeah.
it's JavaScript. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else?
So could you transfer ownership of the resolve callback to the thread, and then have it transferred back as part of the resolve, and then use call it that way? Since you
I
mentioned
don't know.
in the
I don't
beginning-
think so, because you've got all that lexical scope that's attached to the resolve object. So that's
Yeah, so it would something.
it sounds messy. So I doubt it. I think that ownership transferring is restricted to stuff like buffers that are going to be containing a lot of data that you don't want to be copying over between contexts.
How does the API look for transferring?
Oh, it's just so we've got in post message. Let's go back to the web worker. In post message, there's another argument in the middle here. I don't know what it is. And then the third one is the third argument is a transferable object.
Oh, so you can't necessarily. So you can't simply include it in the message.
No,
Oh.
no, you have to be explicit about ownership
One or is
transfers.
it multiple?
Let's find out.
Because during init you were copying the beer data from the renderer graph to the work
Yep,
graph.
yep. Yes, that's maybe not the best way of doing it. I didn't think about that until you mentioned it right now. Maybe I should try and do that. That's a good idea, because it is a lot of data.
But there's this concept of I don't remember the name of it, but data that you can put in a message and that we can. Some form of formal definition of stupid data in JavaScript.
What do you
Which qualifies you for putting it in the message. Like you can't put a closure in the message.
Right.
But you can
Right.
put
Yeah. No. I
string
think it
and-
has to be. It's anything you can serialize with JSON.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simple.
So obviously, if you, I'm not sure about that, because I'm not sure what
Could
happens
be
when you put a date in there.
self-referencing.
No.
I think you can do kind of immutable blobs of some kind as well.
Let's see. It should be here.
Transferable, right under there.
Yeah,
You find
yeah.
out the.
Oh, okay. The
baseline.
transfer was the second argument, not the third. I misremembered that. My
Yeah.
mistake.
If you press that interface there.
This one.
Yes.
But this is the transferable stuff. So it's just
Yeah,
it's
so
an
that's-
array buffer, message port, image bitmap, off-screen canvas.
Yeah, so very few types of objects that can be transferred.
Right. Very limited. Well, there's a lot of subtypes of array buffer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But they're all similar.
Yeah.
Does anybody know what the state of being able to do parallel modification of those buffers is? I know that there was a security code that they closed down a while ago, in which you don't want high resolution timers in your application, because that you can do with various tricks arbitrary side channel attacks. And if you have a buffer, you could synthesize a high resolution timer by having a web worker just basically spamming and setting values onto the buffer, so you could read that out on the main thread as a high resolution timer. So that was closed down for a while, and I'm not sure whether they've opened it up again.
So this is why we can't have nice things.
Exactly.
But I, as far as I understood it, when you transfer ownership of something from the web worker to the render thread, the web worker doesn't have access to it anymore.
Yeah, it says there. It's neutered.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say how.
No, I guess it just like creates like a dummy reference or something like that.
No, I think it would probably, if you tried to access it or do anything with it, it would give you an exception.
Yeah, it says it becomes unusable.
Do you want to scroll a little bit down?
Oh, but I wanted to get the answer to the question you asked.
Ah. Now I'm wondering about something else.
Blah, 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 blah.
I just like to
Oh,
mention
it's also
that
used in IndexedDB. That's cool.
in Pony, I would actually type check this.
Alright, so this is...
transfer of ownership. So maybe you should use Pony instead.
So this is what you can send through in those objects. So it's not JSON serializable stuff,
Yeah.
which makes a whole lot of sense because you would want to be able to send through dates.
A red buffer.
Yeah, you can send them as copies. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it, yeah. That would
Oh,
be
maps and
possible.
sets too. Cool. Yeah. Okay. What were we? Transferables. Scroll a bit down.
Yeah, it's far enough. So transfer list. What is transfer list?
Oh, that's just the name of this argument. You see, you can
Well-
you can specify multiple things to put in there.
Okay.
So it's an array of
Yeah, but
transferables.
You can't pass 0 to null there. So you can't write null.
So the answer is probably you can transfer multiple objects in one message.
Yes,
Yeah.
it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Cool.
An optional array. Yeah. So the full text indexing, do you know what that's using? Is that using IndexedDB or is it using?
No, it's not. IndexedDB doesn't have full text indexing.
Oh, well,
So if you wanted to share like your bear data between the render thread and the worker thread, you would have to keep passing it back.
Exactly. Yeah, then you'd use transferables and you'd have to go through that nightmare of making sure that you're never accessing the BR data when the other thread has access to it. Yeah, where ownership. Yeah. So no, it wouldn't work. You have to copy. Yeah.
And by the way, this model here really enforces what everybody really should be doing whenever they do concurrent programming, which is to not share the beautiful state between various execution threads.
Yeah, it would be nice if we just didn't get a neutered object, but if you're actually the compiler prevented you from doing accessing an object.
What compiler?
one of the multiple you use for JavaScript.
Does WebAssembly have access to service workers in any way? Like how?
No, don't think so.
No.
Doesn't?
I don't think it's in the first version.
Okay.
No,
I
it's
think you will have to use a JavaScript bridge.
That would be cool. That's something they should. If you could.
Probably coming, yeah.
fully write-
Thread-like things are coming.
But isn't the WebAssembly thing, doesn't it, the compile down to like just JavaScript? The
No.
one of them.
There is a JavaScript shim for it
Yeah.
that you can use, but it's...
Oh, but that was something else, wasn't it? The Mozilla one that
Yeah,
just
it's-
compiled down to like JavaScript bytecode. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Cool.
So what you, I guess you could use today is instantiate WebAssembly from a web worker.
Mm-hmm.
And there you have to set up the communication somehow anyway.
Hmm.
And so JavaScript is the interface for that.
But does
Still.
the service worker threads have the API necessary to load the WebAssembly module?
Probably.
I suppose.
Yeah, I just don't see any blockers.
Because I think John mentioned there's like a very limited subset within the service worker that you can.
They do
So
limit
this
what
is
you
the
have access to in the
web
global
worker,
scope.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is different on service
So
worker.
sorry,
It'll be somewhere on MDN. I don't know where it'll be right now. But anyway, I think can spare you from just browsing MDN for a while. Yeah. All right. I'm done. Thank you. Is it lunch?
It's actually an hour to lunch, and we don't have like any presentations pre-lunch.
Oh man.
Because-
That's a half hour to lunch.
Yeah, so if anyone is